Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Open Air. I'm your host, Dawn Newton, and you are listening to 889, your High Desert Community Radio, 889 FM KPOV. Coming up on today's show, Out Central Oregon is here. Jamie Nesbitt, he's the president. We're going to be talking about Out Central Oregon. Who is that? What is that? How can you help? And then they've got some events going on. It's the Bend Winter PrideFest. I just want to make sure I'm getting that put together. So Jamie's sitting across from me. We'll be talking with him here in just a moment. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having us, Dawn, or having me, Dawn. It's my pleasure to be here. We love KPOV. We love our High Desert Community Radio.
Doing a lot for the community. Let's talk about Out Central Oregon. On the website, the mission says to promote advocacy, education, visibility for LGBTQ plus people by enabling and fostering community engagement within social, cultural, and economic landscape of Central Oregon. I think you're doing a really good job of that. I think you're really living up to your mission for sure.
Oh, thank you. We not to be selfish, but we agree. I think Out Central Oregon is really making a difference for the LGBTQ plus community here in Oregon, but also for our allies, which is we consider them part of our partners as well.
And you have a ton of community support, which is really awesome. Now, Out Central Oregon has been around, was established, it's been 4 years?
So the current version of Out Central Oregon has just under 2 years, actually.
Wow.
About 10 years ago, there was a group called Out Central Oregon, and they were primarily a meetup group, not super active, but not necessarily inactive, but they would send out meetups and, for various social activities and, meeting in cocktails and, get the group together. But the interest kind of fell off a little bit. And when my partner and I moved here 4 years ago, we just, as we got more involved with the community, we just started seeing some needs, within the LGBTQ community. So, we, with a number of our friends, formed sort of a preliminary board of sorts and thought, the best way to help the community here is to form a LLC, to make it a nonprofit so we can raise some money more easily. And our vision came out really with the idea of inclusivity, of course, because everybody wants to feel that they're part of the community and they're not being ostracized or marginalized. But I think more importantly to us, it was visibility. That was one of the first things that we experienced coming up Central Oregon was that we know there are gay people here. Just where are they? And, clearly 10, 20 years ago in Central Oregon, being gay was probably quite a bit different than it is now. It's a rural area. Not unlike many other rural areas. It's limited exposure, and one way people, in my opinion, can overcome fears or anxieties about any marginalized population or a population that's different than them is through visibility, where you get to know people and they're like, oh, this person's not scary, or I had sort of the wrong ideas about this population. And I think that's where our big push about visibility for Out Central Oregon's mission came from.
Yeah, challenging some of those stigmas or perceptions or what we think something is. How did you overcome that? Like, what told you that maybe Bend isn't like that?
Well, I think it was just by virtue of our meeting people that live here, that moved here. I mean, Bend.
I think we're all kind of implants.
Yeah, Bend, people move here for its beauty, obviously for its lifestyle. That was a big driver for me. And so, and people are coming from more metropolitan areas where, the idea of LGBTQ is just already instilled in their experiences and their prior experiences.
And what needs did you see that needed to be filled that maybe weren't being filled when you got here, when you arrived to Bend?
Well, one of the first needs that we recognized was, easy access to free HIV testing. And so and this was actually even before Out Central Oregon formed, let alone even had any ideas that we would form it. We reached out to the Deschutes County Health Department. I'm actually a board member on the National HIV organization that's based in DC. And we reached out to Deschutes County Health and said, hey, we've experienced this need from our community members that are speaking to me saying, hey, Jamie, is there anything that you can do to make HIV more accessible, to us here? And through that, Deschutes County Health wrote a grant, and they were awarded, this was 2 years ago now, $1.5 million. They hired an HIV testing coordinator. and they got procured a mobile van, outreach mobile van that services the tri-counties. And that van has, I think last year I just heard this from them. They ran over 300 HIV tests.
Wow.
That van is at most of our events. We have a Thursday night, social gathering at the Dogwood Cocktail Cabin, third Thursday of every month, and just off to the alley, with a big sandwich board that says, free HIV testing right here in downtown Bend. And I think that was a first. And it's one of the things that we're really proud of, actually. I mean, Out Central Oregon has really taken off in this short period of time. So congratulations on that. Thank you. And the reception and the support. Talk about other things, like some of the events. You put on some great events. Yeah. So I think, initially our focus was just getting people to gather. And it's unfortunate that the easiest way to get people to gather and also finding a location for people to gather is going to be, a bar or a brewery. And that's why we kind of expanded on this monthly night out at the Dogwood, doing a lot of promotion of it. And typically now there's 60 to 100 people that show up. And from that, we just started doing activities that brought the community together. We've done some movie screenings, where we brought the directors in as well, so we can have a real good conversation. We've done some poetry readings at Deschutes County Library. What else have we done? We've done some hiking, although we found that hiking, people just kind of hike on their own, not necessarily in a group, which I kind of get. It's like, we'll rethink that one. Right. This summer, as part of Central Oregon Pride, which has, historically been put on by a separate group, Human Dignity Coalition, we put on the first ever Bend Pride 5K. And it seemed very obvious to us from our perspective of like, Bend's an outdoor space, people who are extremely athletic and extremely active. And like, why isn't there a 5K associated with Pride? So we did the first ever Bend Pride 5K. All the running experts in town said, "Oh, this is so great. We'll support you. You guys can probably expect about 200 registered runners." And we had 425 people registered for the race. Wow. And it was great. How are you able to, this seems like it's just, very easy to put all of this together. Is it? It's a lot of work. Is this what you do full time? No. Well, sometimes it does appear to be a full time job, but I actually have a regular job that is that's probably where you get your rest. Somewhat demanding. No, it's a lot of work, and we're a working board. And so it's typically it can be 10 to 20 hours a week. And that does seem excessive, but when you're getting such fulfillment and such feedback and getting really integrated within the community, here in Bend, it doesn't really seem like work. We're actually, my partner and I, Richard, do the majority of the work. He manages all of our social media posts, and expanding that and targeted posts. Like, we've become really experts at getting our message out to very targeted audiences, which has benefited getting the word out of what's going on in Central Oregon quite effectively. That's awesome. Well, yeah, and especially if it hasn't been here before, and then creating those opportunities and that word of mouth. See, that's one of the positive things of social media that helps quite a bit. That's right. It's a mechanism to really spread your word, and get engagement. And that's really, ultimately, I think with social media, that's really what you want. You want people to be engaged so they can feel part of a community. Do you need help from the community as far as like volunteers or people that want to get engaged in that, or how does that? What are the needs that you're looking for? So right now our needs, volunteers are always great, and we are actually going to be having a volunteer meeting sometime either end of February, early March, just to kind of plan out the year once we get through Winter PrideFest, which is this weekend, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, one thing that we love is a lot of the stuff that we've done the ideas have not come directly from us. They've come from community members. And we're like, great, run with it. We will promote it. We'll maybe raise money for it. We'll assist in that. We want to be able to be sort of a liaison to ideas that people have. And like, there's a local drag group here in town, the Cult of Tuck, and we've done a lot with them, and we've really promoted all the artists within the drag troupe. Done a lot of events for them. They take part in a lot of our events. We pay them for their time. They're artists. They should be paid. They should be, and so a lot of what we do with our fundraising, for example, is that money for the most part, all gets put back into Central Oregon's economy.
Well, it's just really cool because from just our conversation and then what Out Central Oregon has been doing and how it seems so effortless. It's just you're just answering and listening and responding to what members of the community are wanting. That's
absolutely right. I mean, we can't think of everything, and I feel like a lot of the stuff that we were putting together, and we have some new stuff planned for next year or this year, it's not all that innovative per se. It's kind of like, well, yeah, there should be a 5K associated with, Central Oregon Pride, for example, or Mount Bachelor's right there. Why don't we have an LGBTQ ski weekend? But I think our approach is where the creativity and the innovation comes in, because we found the best way to get visibility within our group is to partner. And we partner with businesses, other organizations, and government organizations, Deschutes County Health. And any group that we've approached within Bend, has just embraced us. It's been overwhelming, to be honest. Like, people are like, how can we help? We want to be a part of this. This is such an amazing thing that's happening in Central Oregon.
Absolutely. You're putting us on the map.
I think we're putting us on the map. And this, like I said, the support from all over it's never ending.
It's just, wow, it's a good problem to have.
It's actually a really good problem to have.
And speaking of events, and you've teased it a few times, Winter PrideFest is taking place this weekend.
Winter PrideFest is taking place this weekend.
This is the third?
This is the third year of Winter PrideFest, third and definitely the biggest. It starts tomorrow, runs Thursday through Sunday, January 30th to February 2nd. Takes place. There's a number of events here in Bend, and then of course skiing and cross-country skiing and snowshoeing up at Mount Bachelor as well. In our first year, we weren't even informed as Out Central Oregon. I personally called up Mount Bachelor and said, hey, there's a few of us skiers here in Bend that are gay, and we'd like to have a ski weekend up at Bachelor. We're not asking you for any money, but would you guys be willing to fly a rainbow flag when we're up there? And their response was amazing. Their response was, oh my gosh, we've been wanting to do this for a while. They said, even at a meeting we had the prior week, we talked about this, but they had no idea who in the community to contact to make this happen. And that really solidified the concept of visibility as part of our mission. If an organization like Bachelor had no idea who to reach out to, who to identify as LGBTQ within Bend, that was a skier, there was the need, right?
Right.
So neither us or the Bachelor had any expectations. We kind of figured we'd get about 30 to 40 people. 150 people showed up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And for last year's event, the 2019 event, we were awarded a Catalyst grant from Visit Bend, their cultural tourism fund. They awarded us some money so that we could actually really boost marketing of the event, but also just boost the fun. And so we were expecting 300 people last year, and 450 people came. Crazy.
It's a good problem.
It's a good problem. So again, this year we were awarded another grant from Visit Bend, the Cultural Tourism Fund. We hired a marketing firm, and it's just going off. It starts tomorrow. We have a really cool panel discussion about LGBTQ individuals in sport.
Now, is this everything going to be held up at Mount Bachelor?
No, most everything is held except for the winter sports stuff. That's all at Bachelor, of course. But we have events at Immersion, at Spoken Moto, at Seventh Mountain. A lot of events downtown as well.
Is this open to all ages?
Everything is open to all ages except for our nighttime dance party on Saturday night at Spoken Moto. That has to be 21 and over. But our panel discussion tomorrow, or what we call welcoming snow show at Immersion, which is where people can meet and greet, and we have these custom blackstrap neck tubes for everybody to wear that so you can recognize who is part of our groups essentially on the mountain. And then Friday we have what we call Wigs and Icebreaker, a skating event at Seventh Mountain Resort at their outdoor skating rink and bonfires. It's just actually a great location. That's obviously welcome to anybody. All the events on the mountain, of course, are any ages. Saturday afternoon at 3:00. This will be the second year we do this. We do drag tubing at the Snowblast Tubing Park. It's actually hilarious.
Yes.
So if anybody's up on the mountain on Saturday, definitely check it out. We're going to have music. We have some
Any
great
special
announcers
guests coming?
We have a very special guest coming. So as part of our panel discussion tomorrow night at Immersion, we have three leaders, really, LGBTQ leaders in sport. We have a local strength coach, strength coach at Redmond High School. It's hard to say. And then, we have a professional triathlete, from Portland, transgender, Molly Cameron. And then, our very special guest for the whole weekend, actually, is a gentleman called Win Wiley. And Win Wiley has a persona, called Patagonia, who basically came to life in about 15 months ago. And Win's messaging, or Patty's messaging, is really about inclusivity, much like ours, for LGBTQ in outdoor spaces and outdoor sports, but also, very influential as far as an environmentalist. And so we reached out to Win's team, back in September saying, look, we think like what you're doing, what your messaging is completely in line with what we're trying to do here in Central Oregon, like with our Winter PrideFest, for example. And they got it. And so we're super excited. So Win's going to be available throughout the weekend, as Win and as Patty other times.
Just seems like everything is just like falling into place effortlessly.
It seems effortlessly,
Well,
but
I'm sure
there's been a lot of effort, and all that. But no, I mean, like, I think when you have a vision that people can really see and can really respect, then it is almost effortless, actually, because people want to be a part of it.
I think that's awesome. How long does it take you to put this together?
So we start putting Winter PrideFest together probably formally in September. Late August to September. We start sending out, like, say, the date notices. We start working about, where we're going to hold events, what special events we want to have. It's been a challenge. I mean, last year we had 450 people and we were expecting 300. So a lot of the venues that we had events at were understaffed, just because we told, Immersion, for example, that, expect 60 to 80 people, and 150 people showed up. So
that plus one really took off.
Exactly. And the same with this year. Like, we've had to change where the dance party is, to accommodate, what might be, 500 plus people at the dance party. So we're holding it at Spoken Moto. They've been fantastic and they're super excited, but we're renting a tent that's going to stick out the side of it so that it can accommodate that many people. So
other than the skiing, which I think there's maybe a discount.
That's right. Bachelor gives amazing discounts, approximately 20%, for lift tickets, multi-day lift tickets, rentals, ski equipment, all of that. We have snowshoeing, a guided snowshoe on Saturday up. That's done by the Forest Service, which sounds like a great fun and a great opportunity to learn a little bit about Mount Bachelor and the geography associated with the area. And then we also have a Nordic skiing event on Saturday as well.
And then the dance party, are those free to participants, or is there?
No, there's only a couple of events with charges. Obviously, skiing is costly, and that's just the reality of it. The panel discussion is a $20 fee. But the welcoming snowshoe light immersion is free. The skating, if you just want to come and hang out, or if you have your own skates, you can skate for free. Otherwise, it's,
rentals
just rentals, based on them. And then that dance party is $15.
How, where do you see Out Central Oregon going? Like, what? Because now you have been the Pride Festival during the summer that you'll be doing as well.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. We're
just going to pile it on you.
Yeah, we haven't really, that's correct. We are going to be, we're going to be a big part of, Pride in the summer this June. We haven't really had too much time to think about it, just because of Winter Pride, but that
will start on Monday.
That planning will start on Monday, essentially. That's right. Maybe on Tuesday. Maybe on Tuesday.
Anxiety setting in.
But no, I mean, we have, stuff just sort of happens. I mean, we are in partnership with Ben Film, that's starting. It's a program that we're calling Out in Focus. And the idea is to bring, I'll just say it this way, queer film, but basically LGBTQ related, film. And that whether it's topics that are LGBTQ specific, or if they're queer filmmakers, here in Bend to Central Oregon, and we want to have really timely, recent films. And since they now have purchased Tin Pan Theater, which is, just the cutest theater on the planet, that's going to be one of our venues for doing this. And we're hoping to have our first film screened as part of the Out in Focus program sometime towards the end of February. And the goal is to have, right now, bi-monthly, so every other month, and hopefully once or twice a year, have a film and get like the filmmaker to come so we can have a real discussion about, the topic of the film. Or
having conversations is a rare thing today. So I think I appreciate your promoting that and just to have dialogue and awareness, and that's awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, conversation is important.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting time we're in right now. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Jamie Nesbitt. He's president of Out Central Oregon. What does this work mean to you? Is it what you thought it was going to be when you first started?
Not at all. It's taken off so amazingly swiftly and all encompassing that I think when our board formed literally about 2 years ago, we just didn't have any idea. We really thought we'd find a way to get people together on a monthly basis, throw a quarterly dance party to get people together again, maybe do a couple of random film screenings. We just had no idea of what's happening, what is currently happening. And like people, like I said earlier, are just coming to us with ideas. Like the Out in Focus concept with Ben Film was, that came through some prior interactions that we had with Ben Film, and they just embraced the idea of like working with us.
Well, I'm assuming that you might be hearing or have heard stories from individuals that how you've touched their lives or changed their life or provided an avenue, conduit, a connection that maybe helped them.
Absolutely. I think like even simple things like having the consistency of a night out every third Thursday, that people can just rely on, and whether they show up every month or not that's irrelevant. It's really just knowing that there's a safe space, a welcoming space, and Dogwood's been phenomenal about this. They just love us and we love them. But just having that consistency, is really comforting for people, especially if you're part of a marginalized group, where there's always some uncertainty of what lies ahead, sort of, not to be so macabre, but there is that. I mean, I think if you're anybody who's part of a marginalized group, there's always some uncertainty. That's just, we take it for granted having grown up with it, but, non-marginalized groups don't really understand.
Talk about the youth. Does Out Central Oregon work with our youth, whether in the high schools, the college, GSA?
So it's a really great question, because it's something that we, right now it's been really limited. And it's on our big to-do list for 2020. Interestingly, it's hard to reach out. I am not I'm I'm not in high school, obviously. I don't know what is what's important to somebody in high school, for example, or in college as to what they would like to see an organization that like Out Central Oregon can do in partnership with them. We've reached out to GSAs before. We've gone to talk to a couple. They've been really receptive. But oftentimes the conversations just kind of end up falling flat. And I think that's just in part because they probably don't know who we are, and it's hard for us to know who they are. And we have a big, like I said, we're putting together a big sort of plan, if you will, of how we can get more youth involved with what we're doing.
That's awesome. But the door's open. The communication's there.
Absolutely. Yeah, reach out to us.
Everybody.
Please, please, please. I mean, like I said, I don't have an idea of what would be an important thing that somebody in high school would like, us to be a part of. But you'd like to hear it. Absolutely.
And that's all you can do at this point, which is awesome.
Right.
So, and letting them know that you're there.
Exactly.
Where can we go for more information? So for the Winter PrideFest.
Just go to our website. It's outcentraloregon.com, and under events, you'll see a Winter PrideFest tab, and that lists everything that's going on, throughout the weekend. And there's as I said, there's multiple events, happening. And
that website is the same place we could go if somebody wanted to do some outreach, volunteer, participate.
Yep. The website has all of our past events.
It's a mothership.
All kinds of stuff. It's the mothership. Exactly. And follow us on Facebook. That's a great way to get everything updated instantly. We do a lot of posts to tell people all that's happening. So that's, that's the way to do it.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Jamie Nesbitt, it's been great talking with you and meeting you today.
Yeah,
Hope to have you back on. Well, he's probably going to be a board member. We're going to tether him down. So, just what you've been able to do for Out Central Oregon, I'm sure people are probably asking you to help build other organizations or events. You just have that little community organizer. You the golden touch there.
I think we're inspiring people to do things. I mean, right now, for the last couple of months, I think now there's an LGBTQ member who's a very experienced outdoor wilderness guy, but also an experienced rock climber. And once or twice a month, he's doing it's not just limited to LGBTQ, but it's focused on getting the word out to come to Ben Rock Gym and learn to rock climb.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And there's actually like 15 to 20 people that show up for that.
Well, again, what is the website we should go to?
OutCentralOregon.com.
And again, Jamie, I really appreciate this time. Thank you.
No, Don, thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking with Megan Angelo, her book, Followers. Stay tuned.